The news that Nigeria's government has signed a contract, a $9 million contract with a U.S.-based lobbying firm over the allegations of Christian genocide continued, of course, to generate conversation. And we've had the conversation from a standpoint of looking at the lobby. Now let's look at the security aspect of this conversation, because as the killings continue to spread and governors continue to budget around 525 billion naira, many are asking why there is no de-escalation in the violence. Joining me now is Darlington Umoru, a security analyst, and we'll look at this now from a security standpoint. Darlington, thank you for joining me. Let's just go quickly into it. How has the sharp increase in what we see as security vote allocations in Nigeria between 2023 and 2025 translated into measurable improvements in security outcomes across the state? Or rather, the question should be, has it? Have we seen any positive, measurable difference as we've seen the amount that governors are able to spend on security votes going up?
I think the question you have to ask yourself first off is whether all of the security votes the governors have been receiving has actually been directed at curbing insecurity in Nigeria. I thought that is the angle from which this matter should have been visited. But it's a new development and it's a good one. If the governors have decided at this point in time to channel the security votes they've been receiving on monthly basis into actually helping to secure or fight insecurity in Nigeria, it should be a welcome development by my own estimation. But what I think basically is you see, we are trying to curb or fight insecurity, but we are not really attending to the basic issue, which is actually about what is happening in terms of the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. The basic challenge we have is actually the proliferation. How would all of this money translate into helping to curb the proliferation of small arms and light weapons? Now we look at those who are actually, also working in some of these states under as government agencies, particularly the Nigerian Customs Service. For instance, like the controller of Tinkan Island, Frank Onyeka. Last year, he was able to cut short the supply of some of these arms that were meant to flow into the hands of these terrorists. Yeah, he was able to arrest a lot of small arms and light weapons that were meant to pass through, the Tinkan port. And that is precisely what I have often said. If there's any way we could, stop the supply chain of these small arms and light weapons from actually getting to the terrorists, we'll be doing ourselves the biggest favor we need. Mm-hmm. Now, imagine if all the land borders and all the seaports, you have things like that, where some of these illicit small arms and light weapons are passed through to get to the terrorists in the country. I think that is one of the areas the governors should also begin to focus on, particularly these governors that are sharing borders with other countries, where some of these small arms and light weapons come into this country.
Okay.
We should begin to look at how illicit arms get into this country, and the need to block it is the most important. If the like of Comptroller Frank Onyeka could achieve what he achieved last year and hoping to do more, then these smugglers will run away from such areas or will be discouraged from wanting to bring in these small arms and light weapons. That is what I think. What the governors are doing now, these monies, how would they channel them into helping to fight insecurity? Are they going to go into what do you call it now? What the Lagos State government is running, security trust fund? Would they channel all of it into that, or what we are hearing will just come as big money and then go wet, or to justify that the security votes they've been receiving from the state government, from the federal government, would now be translated or channeled into fighting insecurity? I really do not understand it. Over the years, every month, they collect monies from the coffers of the federal government. Nobody accounts for it. Nobody asks questions. EFCC does not ask questions. It's baffling. It's baffling.
Darlington, one of the other baffling things for many people is the fact that you have a region like the Northeast, which accounts for I think about the largest share of security vote spending, yet is also the area or the region of the country that experiences the most persistent insurgency and violence. Is there a way for us to marry those two those two realities together? Your increase in security vote spending is increasing, yet you're the region that seems to be the one hardest hit. So where is that money going, as you've asked? But how do we marry those two realities? How do they come together and make sense for many Nigerians?
But you know, the northern governors, let's be realistic. The northern governors came together about a year or two ago, where they agreed to bring or put resources together to fight insurgencies in their states. But what we have not been able to see is how effective has that been able to, you know, get in terms of curbing insecurity, particularly the aspect of banditry, not just even the Northeast. The Northeast has not really been boiling as much as the Northwest. You know, over time, talking about Sokoto down to Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna. You know, if you look at this state, and then Kebbi of late, where you also have Lukarawa or something, they have come together at a point in time when they held meetings and even visited Mr. President to talk on how, or to discuss measures on how to curb insecurity in Nigeria. But, you know, at the time, the security vote, they said they were putting together, and they didn't say specifically security vote. They were talking about security trust fund, how to bring resources together to help the federal government manage or fight insecurity, particularly when the federal government is in charge of the military and the security agencies as provided by the Nigerian Constitution of 1993 as amended. But I think right now the governors in the West have also come together to begin to think of how to, you know, battle this camper. Of course, don't forget that after the hit in Sokoto by the American government from the Gulf of Guinea with the use of the Tomahawk missile, it is expected that most of these bandits and particularly in the Northwest will begin to move to spread on to other places. But you saw what happened in Katsina also.
Yeah.
What happened in Katsina when 70 commanders were asked to be released in exchange for more men, more of Nigerians who were in captivity. It's not news, although it has happened before. Perhaps some of these resources they are putting together could be used, you know, to do the non-kinetic approach, help the non-kinetic approach, so that success can be achieved, and then we can reduce what has become a global phenomenon. This matter that has to do with terrorism is a global phenomenon, but Africa is suffering so much of it, and then the movement and the illicit movement of these small arms and light weapons is a bigger challenge that people should be looking at. How would the governors be assisting security agencies and the intelligence agencies, even the customs, in achieving what they need to achieve? That is basically my worry. My worry is not about the second phase of battling insecurity. If you are able to stop the supply of petroleum products, if you are able to stop the supply of small arms and light weapons from getting to these terrorists, I think 50% of the war would have been won.
All right. Thank you so much, Darlington Umoru. That's as much as I can take from you right now. Of course, these conversations will continue. Thank you so much for joining us.